with your host, Frank Monday. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, whenever you are, and whoever you are. Wizard, warrior, wanderer, and wayfarer alike, welcome to a morning grind edition, day 77 of the 100-day magical challenge. I hope you are doing well. We're up and at 'em this morning, getting it. And of course, the roads are getting flooded with goofballs that don't drive correctly, that wander from lane to lane, hitting their brakes and dragging ass. Wow, this guy's really dragging ass. Amazing. What's up with this dude? How's everyone doing out in Happy Loud today? Anything fun and interesting going on with you guys? Put it in the comments down below. I hope you are well. We've got fog back today, up a little late. It's already 10 after 6, which means it's going to be a 27th day of the 100-day magical challenge. Do good magic. Hope you guys are practicing your magic daily. Dream recall, meditation, prayer, incantation. First trimester, maybe learning the circle casting of your choice. Could be chaotic, could be ordered. I recommend ceremonial magic. The pentagram ritual includes invocation of God names and angelic forces to guide and protect you through the innumerable snares of the earthly sphere. Then trimester 2, I personally recommend Tree of Life. For myself, I've got 3 sources that I study the Tree of Life from. Originally, I was using Israel Regardie's The Garden of Pomegranates, and then I was listening to Poke Runyon on the Hermetic Hour, and he said that Israel Regardie deferred to Dion Fortune's The Mystical Kabbalah, and said that her Mystical Kabbalah was even better than his attempt in the Garden of Pomegranates. So I checked it out, and she refers back to Arthur Edward White and McGregor Mathers, and so I already had read the Mathers one, but found it a little bit difficult in that some of the language seemed archaic. Whereas Dion Fortune, as she refers back to his, she clarifies a lot of what he was talking about and says that there were intentional blinds put forward by the Golden Dawn in order to prevent uninitiated from unlocking keys of the Tree of Life that might cause them trouble, hardship, injury. So that's cool. And she says that she's seeking in her mystical Kabbalah, she sought to remove all of the blinds. Well, most of them. So intentional blinds in the teaching, if you don't know, is when they change some orderation or numeration within the book they publish and do it in such a manner that someone who studies the material deeply will figure out the slight. And it'll still be relevant at a lower level, but when you get to a higher level, you'll intuitively discover that there's some inconsistency or some um, covering up of an essential idea that could easily be rectified by changing the placement of a card or a number. There aren't typically very many. There was originally a couple in the pentagram ritual, but if you've listened, if you've listened with intellectual attention to any of my discussions of it, then you may have already figured out the intentional blinds in the pentagram ritual. And there are a couple in the tarot that Crowley rectified, but whether or not you adopt those is up to you. Dion Fortune says that she did. She said that Crowley was actually very good in removing the blinds for the tarot and the major arcana. Everything pretty much stays the same for the minor arcana, the lesser cards, but the major arcana, there's a shift in position of two cards. Wow, these guys, what are they doing? Come on, man. Guys, you guys are playing games. Pick a lane, bro. Oh, whew. What's going on out in Happy Land? Hey, looks like someone might be out there. Yo, yo, yo. I can't read the chat, guys, so I just got to roll with the punches as I am. I'm getting on the highway right now, and there were a couple of folks back there. Just I don't know, I have no idea what they were doing. Why do you want to slow down to like 40 when it's time to merge on the highway? When the speed on the highway is 120, it seems like you would be pushing to get up closer to speed, like 80. Wow, everyone is just hanging back today rather than, yeah, I've talked about it nearly every day when I merge on the highway. I have no idea what these folks are doing. And then they're in the 120 lane just chilling. Got no idea what you guys are doing, man. All right, opened up a little bit right here. That's good. So, are you guys looking forward to Happy Halloween? Do you have a Halloween where you're at? Uh, some of the high school kids were talking to the what is it called? The head of our department, and asking him if they could have a Halloween party, and he said no. He said by like new Chinese laws governing schools, even private institutions, they're not allowed to study or they're not allowed to celebrate Western holidays. So Halloween, Thanksgiving, what's the other one? Christmas is the big one. They've all been removed from the calendars, and they're not allowed to be celebrated. So I thought that was fascinating. They've done that before in the past. When I first came over here, you got to think about the transitions of old Peking that I've been through. When I first got over here, foreigners couldn't even use local money. They had special stores and special certificates for foreign people to use in place of the local money. So you weren't even allowed to have local money, the RMB, and you weren't allowed to use it in shopping. And then they rescinded that and they opened it up so that foreigners could use the local money. And a lot of Chinese people found it unusual. At the same time, foreigners were limited to a certain range of shops and places in the city where you could go and stay. And they were mostly around the embassy district. When they rescinded that, it was very unusual because as you made your way into other parts of the city that were hitherto unavailable to foreigners, people thought it was very interesting to see foreigners moving about, and they would sometimes stop and question you, and there were guards placed and stuff. And yeah, so that was a bit of a change. And then there was a short period of them kind of opening up to all different kinds of foreign holidays and activities, and Halloween was celebrated openly, and Christmas was celebrated openly because it is a very commercial. Those are very commercialized holidays anyway, and so they brought in revenue for stuff like decorations and different things. And that was let's see, how long did that last? Probably about 10 years, like right prior to the Olympics and for a while after the Olympics. And then it wasn't until just recently that they, probably within the last couple of years, like right before COVID, maybe right before the coup, they started uh, putting more pressure against celebrating holidays and returning to the ideas of nationalism and focusing mostly just on Chinese holidays, and not even really the traditional Chinese holidays, but just like what they deem as the three big ones. So originally, the three big ones are three Chinese holidays throughout the year that they would give a week long vacation for, a 7 day vacation from work, pretty much for everyone. Like even your local convenience stores and most restaurants and stuff would pretty much just close and stop, like by demand. They didn't ask them, hey, you guys want to participate and close? No, they just pretty much, everyone took those days off. So there would always be a um prepping up towards it. Wow, this guy doesn't even have his ETC card and he's pulling into the wrong lane. There would be a prepping up for it. Like everyone would buy lots of food and supplies for their house because you're going to have like a week long where like things would be pretty much closed down, like stores, and no one would work and everyone would be at home chilling. And it was interesting during those times too, because most people would not go out. Like the streets would just be empty. People would be at home chilling, resting, having family meals and stuff. So those were called the golden weeks. There were three of them. Then they got rid of one of the three golden weeks and reduced it down to like a long weekend, like a 3 day holiday or a 3 day weekend. Like you'd get Monday off or whatever. So those three holidays were Memorial Day, National Day, and Chinese New Year. And now the holiday season has pretty much been reduced to just the big three. So we've got Memorial Day, and I believe it's in May, and then the Chinese National Day, which is in October, and then the Chinese New Year, which is either late January or early February. So that's official. No Halloween here. But at the same time, the kids are pretty savvy, and they are all, I mean, it's a private school. I work at a private academy where all of the, pretty much everyone is intending to study at university abroad. And so they need to expose themselves a little bit to foreign culture and learn to enjoy it and learn about it and stuff. And so the kids said they're going to utilize a Chinese solar term and just call it like a cosplay day. But it won't be until middle November, and they're seeking to try to get permission from the staff, the teachers and stuff, to see whether or not they can do that. But they asked me if I would dress up. They said, "Would you wear a Halloween costume?" And I said, "Yeah, definitely. I think that would be fun. Even if it's 2 weeks late, whatever." Um, so yeah, you can see how China handles nationalism. They ain't having any of it. They're like, yeah, we're done with globalism. In fact, from what I understand, I was talking to my direct manager, and he keeps an eye on politics and news and government and stuff on the Chinese websites. I don't. I mean, good God, I'm gonna waste my time with that. I don't even pay attention to my own national politics back in the States. So I get some of the news secondhand. And he said that China at this period is seeking to reevaluate top down its foreign policy because the great opening up era is kind of, for them, they think it's coming to an end, and they're not really interested in playing ball with everybody anymore on the level that they used to, like letting foreign companies in here to take advantage of low wage labor and stuff like that. So that will create a shift in supply chains worldwide, as the robber barons, the heads of Walmart and the automobile industry and everyone, all the plastics and stuff that have been over here manufacturing things for the global market and then dumping their pollutions into Chinese rivers and into the air here. They're going to focus, the shift of the focus will be mostly on domestic production. They really played a good stratagem against the globalists, I think. I mean, they're all globalists. It's all one unified system. That's why it's referred to as the New World Order, right? So it's going to change things, though. I think what the plan moving forward for the global elites is to move some of their manufacturing into Southeast Asia and India. And I believe they've already started setting up shop in Africa as well. So there'll be a shift there westward once again, right? So you can see the great concourse of westward movement of activity following the sun. It's interesting too, because following the sun has always been kind of the grand scheme of things. Um, what is it? I think it's a part of the first or second Freemason degree where they ask the initiate, uh, "Have you traveled far?" And the response is only from east to west. So that shows their overall movement of resources and um, yeah. Well, other news, day 77 of the 100-day magical challenge. We're headed straight for the end of the cycle. As I kind of put it forth, I put it into three thirds, right? 33-day cycles. So the first 33 days was all about learning a basic circle casting ritual. I recommended the pentagram ritual with its established Kabbalistic system of the four elements and the four directions. And then for the second trimester, beginning your study of the tree of life or the Kabbalah. Now, lots of different Kabbalahs. There's practical Kabbalah, rabbinical Kabbalah, uh, the Kabbalah of wizardry, so on and so forth. So really the one you're looking for is the basic magical Kabbalah. So it will have Malkuth at the bottom, the prime material plane, and then it will have three pathways coming off of Malkuth. The 30th, the 32nd, and the 31st. The 31st, 32nd, and the 30th. So straight up the center will be the path of Saturn. So Saturn in ancient alchemical practices and astrology was the beginning of our prime material plane. So they only recognized the stars that were visible in the sky, the planets, the wandering planets that were visible, the wandering stars, known as planets, right? Uh, we're only visible to the eye, and I guess basic like telescopic instruments. So just five of them. And the Chinese five elements correspond with those. In fact, they name them just by the five elements in Chinese, which I see some correlation between the ancient Chinese knowledge and the modern, or the more modernized Middle Eastern and then Western knowledge of those four elements. They're reducible to the four Kabbalistic elements, with the fifth element being quintessence, the spirit. The basic order of study is earth, air, water, and fire. So you can see that it moves in reverse order. And it also, the elements also move in reverse order through the zodiac. So the site zodiac will start off with Aries, and that's fire, and then move to Taurus. But the older systems will start at 0 degrees Cancer and then move all the way through the zodiac and pass Cancer and return and go on to Capricorn as the exit. So I don't recommend pondering or thinking about the astrology correspondence too early on, because it's so elusive and there's so much information there that it's easy to become distracted in your magical practice if you focus too much on keeping time with the zodiacal clock, the four-handed, right? The ancient grotesquely carved alien, the four-handed grandfather clock that ticks away in the hall. That's that's something that you can endeavor to do later on, unless astrology is your gig, right? If that's your deal, then by all means, jump right in, head first. But it in the beginnings, in the early stages of studying magic, it will only serve to confuse you. And it's not just me recommending or saying that. Uh, any teacher on the path has, and all teachers on the path of magic have reiterated that sentiment, have presented that, because there are so many calculations involved that it doesn't serve your main purpose of working to untie the difficulties in your own life and overcome fate and karma, these traps within the material plane. Because at a basic physicality level, you are limited by duality and the starry alignments, right? But that's the path of the magi is, and the magus is just that. It's that you're reconnecting with your spiritual origin, which gives you the power to overcome duality and overcome any type of astrological deficiencies or fate, as it were. And it doesn't take too long to do that. Like, you'll still feel the ebb and tide and the vicissitudes of the swirling cosmos, but I would say within 3 years, you will start to realize that you're not being controlled, but you are in control. And that's the definition of the great work by Eliphas Levi, is the great work is before all things perfection of man by himself. That is to say, the complete and total control of his faculties and his future. It is essentially that is essentially the great work, right? Overcoming those other things. All right, guys, I have arrived at the willow tree where I can hide out and avoid what's his name? Lithium Head, the guy who stalks me, who's quietly stalking and trying to undermine me. He doesn't know that I'm a high-level magical practitioner, and I am not to be limited by fate and fortune or any type of foolish karma. Hey, Miss Mary Moon's out in Happy Land. Good to see you, Mary. Long time no see. Our VPNs over here have been blocked, and as a result, I haven't been able to live stream, which I felt kind of sad about. And I felt sad about being disconnected from the community, being disconnected from you guys, and not being able to watch people's new videos and stuff. But these last couple of days, they've opened it up a little bit, and I've been able to communicate a little bit. Yeah, and I started talking to other people and asking them about like the VPNs they use and how successful they've been and stuff. And everyone I've talked to so far, all were blocked for like the last week. So it wasn't me alone. Um, One kid though, he said his VPN works all the time. He's like, my VPN's never been blocked. And so I asked him what VPN he was using, and he said that he paid like I think $200 a year US. And I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna do that? I don't know. I've already got 3 VPNs that I pay for. I don't know if I'm gonna pay for another VPN. Even from the very beginning days when they started promoting the VPN as the way to get around the firewall, I thought, man, you pay for your phone, you pay for your internet service, you pay for your electricity, and now you got to start paying for an additional service in order just to be able to use the internet. It just seems like they're trying like from every angle to um it seems like they're trying from every angle to fleece you of some money. And so I didn't buy into it in the beginning. In fact, I've out of the 22 years now that I've been over here, I only bought a VPN like a year ago. It was during COVID, like the beginning, like towards the middle of the Kuvi, because the Kuvis launched off such a powerful uh, thwarting of anything in Western media. They really wanted to control the story at the ground level. And they've done a good job. They've brainwashed the population over here so thoroughly that they believe anything they're being told. And it's tragic, but what are you going to do? Some people just believe whatever they're told, and that's not great. Let's see what's going on out in the ideas room. Miss Mary Moon says astrology isn't even magic. I would call it a science. Maybe magic, maybe using the crafts, sciences, and things for things, etc. Yeah, astrology is definitely a science. I mean, think about the tenets of science. Uh, you use observation and record keeping, and then you correspond the results of what happens. But that's magic too. Magic is hermetic sciences. It's on a very high level, and it does utilize astrology. um, you have to learn astrology. In fact, I've been negligent in my astrological studies because I'm a natural magician, and I was able to tune in intuitively with the cosmic alignments, and I didn't need to study it. I didn't feel like I needed to study it. I never have. I've just anything that I've sought to put my will towards has been pretty much achievable, and I never felt like looking into like behind the veil, so to speak, with astrology was really that necessary for me. And it was only when I met you, Miss Mary at Sea Level 2, Miss Mary Moon. It was only when I met you that I sought to go beyond just the general understanding of the astrological alignments on the tree of life, because on the tree of life it's all over there, right? Like you've got the manifestation of Keter to Hokman Bina, and Bina begins at Saturn. So you have Saturn, and then the starry sky, the star-filled sky, like all the innumerable stars in Hokmah, and then you have Keter as the crown, the Ein Sof or the limitless light. So as it comes into manifestation on the tree of life, you have the star-filled sky, you have the dark mother, the um, the dark mother Bina, and the ocean of stars, Nuit, as it was in Egyptian. And then as it begins its manifestation into the prime material plane, you have Saturn at the outermost area, and then coming down into Jupiter, and then Mars, and then over to, uh, of course, the sun and moon and Earth, and then Venus and Mercury, right? As it manifests into our realm. But beyond that, and knowing my alignments of God names and angelic names on the tree of life, um, I didn't necessarily think that it was of interest to me to study all of the personality traits that influence people. But that was short-sighted on my part. And as a result, I have sought to rectify it in recent times by downloading all of the birth charts in my family off of Chaos Astrology, my own, and I've sought to study it a little more. And that was part of my magical, my 100-day magical challenge too, was better familiarizing myself with astrology and astrotheology. But again, um, it's not of that primary interest to me personally, just because in our tradition, we use magic to directly perceive these things. And reading about them is one aspect, but sitting in meditation for 30, 40 minutes at a time and trying to directly perceive their operation is of more benefit, because once you've directly perceived the operation through your own magical work, then you look at the manuscripts and find out if your correlations are accurate, and that way you have confirmation that you're definitely, practicing magic, that you're doing magic, rather than just speculating about it and regurgitating what other people have said. It was Master Nihua Ching himself. He said that if you rely too much on the sayings and teachings of others to formulate your own understanding, that will block the door to your own ineffable enlightenment. And I realized that early on, that an individual needs to do a certain amount of their own writing and exploration in these systems. That's not to say that you should be lax, though. And when it comes to astrology, I have proven to be a little bit lax. That's okay for me, though, because I remember too that I think it was Israel Regardie himself that said, "I- for the deeper studies of those understandings, they would only start to come to fruition when you got closer to 50. So, like middle to late 40s is when those types of things would become of greater importance. And then the 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 most useful thing they would be for older people who are already advanced in their career to analyze and help guide the youth. So I think that that's important. You can use those systems to help the youth find their way in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah, that's exciting. And as a part of the next challenge, probably, I'm thinking about organizing some study along the systems of astrology, because it seems to be very popular right now. And it definitely does help you in your magical operations. You certainly want to know what's going on in the sky. But the magician doesn't use the spirits of the sky or the telestic or zodiacal in as much as they use their own will. So, due to the fact that the magic I practice and promote is based on the three Dantians and Volantia, or the personal manifestation of your spirit and its connection with your holy guardian angel, that those things are secondary to what you're doing, right? Talismanic magic and the or the intention, and then decreeism, right? Bringing it into being through vibration and commanding it to be so, is the foundation of the philosopher warrior, or the scholar warrior, the sage king and queens. And all of that other stuff is secondary to that. So original energy and original chi is the way to punch through the veil for the practicing magician. not the other way around. Those things come after, right? So prior to any of those things is the great Tao. And then the first manifestation of that, which is, you can look it up, is in Greek theology, is abraxas, right? And I don't recommend for any low level individuals approaching abraxas. I did when I was super young, and that's not that's not something you want to do, right? So subsequent to that are all the other expressions of the God forms, right? Even the Yud He Vah, which is upheld as the highest knowable source in the Western mystery tradition, is secondary to the big hitter, right? So I just mentioned his name so that you can do research on it if you want to. But higher angelic forces and God names and stuff as they descend on the tree of life is of interest to the Zealater grade, or the second trimester of the 100-day magical challenge. But now we're in the third trimester. So what have you got going on now? I recommend beginning with a study of the major arcana in the tarot, and that will introduce you to astrology as well, because the the seven luminaries and the 12 zodiac signs and the five swirling elements are all in there. So that will give you the opportunity to start looking into those things. And so I started off today's transmission talking about the Kabbalah and the various texts that you can read about on the Kabbalah. Uh, McGregor Mather's Kabbalah, I forget the name of it, and then Dion Fortune's The Mystical Kabbalah, and then I guess first Dion Fortune's, and that will help you, and just have Mather's and Regardi and Wyatt's uh, teachings on the Kabbalah handy if you want them. But as Dion Fortune herself was saying, there's a lot of intentional blinds in theirs, so you can just use Dion Fortune's. And if you are really interested in digging into the 100-day magical challenge, I would recommend the Church of Hermetic Sciences with Poke Runyon and his free podcast. He's got a free weekly podcast called The Hermetic Hour. It's what I religiously study and continue to study, and it's what will guide my magical studies into the future, is the Temple of Astarte. And so, yeah, Astarte brought me out of that great dark night of the soul. And she's the one that responded to me when I asked for succor. And she directed me to Poke Runyon and uh, to return to Ansalon. And so that's kind of a private, or not private, but a personal story that gives me a direct connection to the Lady of the Stars. And we have an expression in Chinese when you're forming your mastermind group, right? When there are those people who you really appreciate, like over the dark mirror, there are certainly people that you appreciate here on the internet, like Miss Mary Moon. I've been trying to keep up with all your videos, even though the VPNs have been blocking me. And I recommend you guys, if you're interested in the deeper studies of astrology, to seek out Mary and check out her channel, because she's been doing regular updates and uploads recently. You've become a lot more active, and your channel is growing pretty rapidly. And due to the fact that it's focused on astrology, I predict that your channel will grow really fast. So that's pretty. Um, and what was the suggestion I was going to make? Oh, definitely check out Poke Runyon's channel here on YouTube. It's called the Temple of Astarte. And so maybe you have some interest in the Goddess of the Stars and the way it unfolds in our temple tradition. And if you do that and you get involved with Poke Runyon, it's Poke, and then Runyon, Runyon. If you check out Poke Runyon for his things, like it's like $25 to become a lifetime member to his temple, and for that you get like 2 DVDs and a couple of books, and then like discount coupons on all his other books. And good God, are they worth it, man? The amount of energy and just like practicality of his stuff is so good. And he's got a big section on zodiacal alignments and astrology. But when it comes to astrology, you can't fit much into even a huge volume. Like once you go in that direction, your studies are limitless, right? So there's so much there. Like I forget which astrologer said it, but they said that there are like 50,000 times 50,000 combinations, unique combinations. So you're talking like in the hundreds of millions of combinations that align. I mean, think about it. In every moment in time and space is unique, and every single one of those moments is has correlations. And can you guys still hear me? Give me a yo if you can still hear me. I think my Bluetooth microphone died. Can you guys hear me out in Happy Land? Yo yo yo. What is TOA? Free gift from God. Hey, Frank from Joyce is out there in Happy Land. Miss Mary Moon has tuned in. Chippy Hedron Collider, hello there. Good to see you. I miss seeing Jeff, man. Jeff suddenly disappeared. I don't know what's going on with Monsieur Tiedrick. A lot of the old school people, guys, that we used to have here tuning in occasionally. Ryan Owen, Sasquatch Roadkill, Chris A, Charles Marlowe. Am I missing anyone? So many people have just don't tune in anymore because I got blocked. And I guess people come and people go. And sometimes there will be mainstays, people that stick around and hang out for a while. And then those who just are Professor Hamamoto calls them tourists. He says they're internet tourists. But I kind of felt like there for a little while, we had a core group. Um, let's see. Mary says Sasquatch Roadkill's around. She said hi on my channel, I guess recently. She might not get notifications. Sometimes I don't, or she's busy. Yeah, people get busy with life. Over the holiday, man, I couldn't, my VPN wouldn't connect, not even a single time, man. 9 days solid, it wouldn't connect. And I thought I was pretty much cut off from the internet for good. I think everyone pretty much forgot about me, you know. You go a day or imagine 10 days without doing any transmissions. People are like, ah, I guess he's gone. That's all right. I haven't forgotten about you guys. Crystal K, if you're out there, hello to you. I know you don't always chime in on the channel because you like to stay in the background, but if you are there, good looking out. Good to see you. Mary Moon, good to see you guys. Tippy Hedron Collider, Frank out in Jersey. Are we back? Hello. Testing, testing. One, two, three, testing. Testing, testing. One, two, three. Are we back? Are we back? Got a yo 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 on my side always. Thank you, Tippy. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me, man. This is my social outlet now. Uh, Community has been destroyed by the coups, right? And we're never allowed to meet in polite public in company. Thanks for the yo, guys. I gotta go. I gotta go pull over to the yard at 7 o'clock. Yeah, I will see you guys in the abodes of the future. Keep doing good magic. Much love to all of you. Thank you for your support. Please hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to check me out on buymeacoffee.com/, Frank Monday. I uploaded some new pictures there yesterday. Over the vacation, I worked on a video called Creating Your Astral Temple, and now I'm just tweaking it to make sure that it's good and accurate. And I'm going to use it as a peg system to help me better learn astrology. So probably for the next 100-day magical challenge going forward, I'm going to use that script and video and then communications about it and essays, writing essays about those ideas to do the next 100-day magical challenge. So I'll formalize it all and make a good presentation video of what the next 100-day magical challenge is going to be about. But we're not done with this one yet. So keep doing good magic, guys. Learn your pentagram ritual, learn your tree of life, and then get yourself a basic tarot deck and start learning the major arcana, right? The Fool, the Magi, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant, the Lovers, the Chariot, Strength, the Hermit, the Wheel of Fortune, Justice, the Hanged Man, Death, Temperance, the Devil, the Blasted Tower, the Star, the Sun and the Moon. I gotta park this car. Um, the Final Judgment, and finally, the Cosmos, the macrocosm. Yeah, and we'll start to learn to integrate better the microcosm and the macrocosm. I've been setting up my not only my astral temple here at the academy, but I'm actually building a an impromptu, on the cheap, legitimate temple working space in my dormitory room. So I don't have a way to get a solid black marble altar or any of the high level accoutrements of the magician, but I'm making an altar out of cardboard, and I'm getting some other things: a bell, a drum, a lamp of learning, right? I'll bring in an athame and a chalice and a pentacle and a wand and stuff like that. And so I'm setting up that dorm room so that I can show you what ceremonial magical operations look like. You go look at them elsewhere. I'm not I'm not going to shoot for anything high level on it. Just what a crafting magician can do by hand, with paper and cardboard and wood, because everything else is far too expensive. And I've never believed that you need to spend a lot of money to do magic. In fact, some of my most powerful magic has always been done with nothing, right? Just the intention. So I love y'all good looking sex people. Stay well out in Happy Land. I'll see you on the next transmission. As above, so below, as we wander into the abodes of the future. Do good magic.